Okay, so let's get started. So we think of PlusPlus as a enablement platform for your team. Uh, we are, sometimes mistaken, or at least get asked, like, "Hey, are you an LMS or are you an LXP?" And the answer is no. We do have some of the functionalities that they may have, but we are distinctly different. We're a platform that is built and designed for your program managers to uh, build their different learning programs with ease, at scale, and the way that they want to. So how do we do that? So what you're seeing here are the three buckets of our platform, or maybe sometimes we call them pillars. It's up to you what you want to call them, but I'll call them buckets for now. And so we have our events. Events are instructor-led training events that you may run at your company. We handle those. It's actually kind of our bread and butter. It's what we originally founded on. And so we handle everything that goes around your instructor-led trainings, right? So the goal is that your presenters just need to show up and present. Your attendees just need to show up and learn, and then we're handling everything else that goes around that event. So everything from scheduling to calendaring automatically, attendance tracking, email or Slack reminders or confirmations, survey and feedback, managing rosters. All of that can be done through PlusPlus. And again, with the idea of being, sort of one-click enrollment, and that's it. So that's our events for content, sort of the bottom here. This is where we're going to have a little bit of overlap with say like an LMS, in that we do check the box of compliance, right? So a lot of times, that might be 5 to 10% of your work, but because it is compliance, it is like I need to be able to do this in order to do the other things that I really want to do. So we do support SCORM and compliance functionalities, but we also, we want to make it a place where you can bring in all the different types of content that you want to use to run your programs. So things like your Cloud Docs, Wiki pages, Confluence sites, videos that you might have, links to third-party content like LinkedIn Learning or O'Reilly. So any sort of content that you may have, PlusPlus can house it for you as well. And then the third bucket here is connections. So connections is actually kind of a new investment area that we've been rolling out. It's really the other side of the content coin. So where one is the content, connections is the people behind it, right? So and it's so it's the people that are running your events. Who are the presenters? What are they all about? Who are the people that are sharing the videos and the Cloud Docs and authoring the code labs, and then there's other ways of connecting with people, right? Mentorship programs, ERGs that you might run, office hours that you might have. So it's really kind of bubbling up the experts in your company. So where events are one to many, content is a bit more asynchronous. Connections is really trying to foster a one-to-one connection with your learners and the experts that are providing that expertise, whether it be through events or other means. And so how do those three buckets work together? Well, they can work independently, and you could just have standalone events, you could have standalone content, you could have standalone office hours or mentorship programs. But where it really becomes interesting and powerful is when you blend them together, right? And use it for longer sort of arc programs like an onboarding program. Every company has some sort of onboarding. It may be simplistic, it may be fairly complex, but you have something. And so onboarding is a good example of where you may want to cherry pick different things from each of those buckets to include it into a longer, more unified program. But you might have manager trainings. You may have certain programs in your company that require these sorts of different utilizations of content. It's really up to you. But the purpose here is that you can blend these three buckets to create really sophisticated and engaging programs for your learners. Okay, so let's now jump into the demo. All right, so we're going to start with tracks. So, I was talking about blending your programs, and tracks is how you do that. So tracks is what you're going to use to model your longer arc program experiences, like onboarding. So we're going to jump into engineering onboarding here. And what you're going to see here is, in this case, I have a 4-week program that new engineers are going to have to jump through as they join the company. And the nice thing about this is that if you kind of put yourself in a new hire's mindset, is they're coming to a company that they don't know. There's people that they don't know, and the most important thing for them is that they feel like there's a plan for them. Right, and that plan is tangible, that they can see it, that they know it's expected of them, and that they know who to reach out to in case they have questions. And the PlusPlus track is going to help them through navigate that process. So in this case, I know, okay, in 4 weeks, I should be able to effectively do my job, right? And here's what's expected of me in the first week of my employment here, right? And then the second week and the third week, etc. And for the learner, as far as stepping through it, it's a very straightforward process of, okay, I do this, now I go next, and now I'm going to do this, and I go next, right? So it makes it easy for them. It doesn't they don't have to think. They just have to do, and then they have to engage, and that takes a lot of sort of the worry work out of it and makes it straightforward. Then there's outlets. You can have resources in your track. So I have questions. I don't know who to reach out to. Okay, I can go into this engineering AMA, and I can go in and book time with somebody. Because I might not know Charlie. So I'm going to book time with Charlie because they're attached to this track. So there's lots of different outlets here for it. You can even associate Slack channels to your tracks, which then also allows for reaching out through Slack as well. Tracks can be taken solo. Some companies, they assign people to a track and they're like, hey, you just got to do this in 4 weeks, but we'll go and we'll let you, if I go back into the track, we'll let you pick which boot camp you want to go to. We're not necessarily going to assign you to a specific one. However, there is also the ability of creating a cohorted track. So in that case, you get assigned to a track where I'm attending the April 9th boot camp, and then I'm attending the April 9th AWS event and the April 18th. So it's a bit more of a prescribed experience for the user. And so if I enroll here, you can see I'm going to get enrolled into these 4 events, and they're going to be online, or actually, if I was enrolling myself, I could select online or in person. So that's that's more of the cohort experience, and then the Slack integration with this would be an actual cohorted Slack channel. So it's all the people that are in this would get it in this particular track would get assigned to a particular Slack channel as well. For the program manager, it's important to understand just how people are progressing through your content. So every piece of content, not just tracks, but your events, your articles, your code labs, your e-learning, is going to have some sort of roster component to it. And so for tracks, probably the one of the more interesting pieces of it is going to be how people are progressing through it. Especially if you've got all these different pieces, you want to be able to see where people are in that. And the manager, the hiring manager of in this case Sergio, can also come in and see, okay, Sergio's through 14% of, what the new hire program, so, what has he completed? What does he still have to do? Hey, Sergio's a new engineer. Is he ready to go on call? No, he still hasn't taken on call 101. So I'm going to leave him off of the next rotation. Right. So it allows for you to kind of track people's progress. And then there's all sorts of bulk actions that you can do. Like you could make Sergio exempted from doing certain work, right? And then most importantly, any of this information can be exported. So any data, whether it be engagement data, assignment data, completion data, whatever it is, can be exported out of PlusPlus, either through a CSV or through an API that we have. All right, so let's start to unpack this track a little bit and dive into the individual content pieces. So we're going to start with events, and so the goal with events here is, especially with your reoccurring events that you hold at a regular cadence, like an engineering bootcamp, we want to make scheduling these as easy as possible. And the way that we do that is by templatizing all of the kind of the busy work that usually goes into scheduling events. So it's as close to sort of a one-click scheduling as possible. And so, what are the kind of the common components of an event that rarely change? You can capture these in an event type. And this will be treated as your template for any event. So things like cover images, titles, descriptions, your various tags, maybe who organizes or who presents, enrollment capacities, whether they be online or in person. What are the caps? Location. If this is always held at a certain location, you can identify that here. Are there due dates associated with this piece of content? Does this content assignment expire? This is probably a bit more relevant for, say, like e-learning. So we'll talk about that when we get to courses. Are there resources like an office hour or links that you want to associate to it? Surveys that you want to have go out before or after the event takes place. And what is the schedule for those surveys? When do they close? All of that stuff can be captured. I even had, where is it? I skipped over it, but if it was online, what is the virtual conference link, that we're always going to use? Access control. Is this event going to be public for everybody, or am I going to access restrict it to certain groups? And again, that you could do that with all, any sort of content. So if you had a video that you only wanted available to managers, you could access restrict a video or event or whatever to just managers. Attendance policies. How early can someone enroll in this event? How late can they drop it? How early can they check into it? How late can they check into it? All of that can be managed and scheduled in your event type, as well as event notifications. What do you want your enrollment confirmation when someone enrolls into this event to say? How many reminders do you want to go out, and what do you want the reminders to say, and how early do you want them to go out? All of that stuff can be customized at the event type level. So when you're getting ready to schedule your event, it's as one click as possible. So I go in and I go to schedule. And because I'm scheduling off of this event type, the event is going to inherit all of those presets that I determined in the event type. So all I really need to do is just pick a date and a time, and then hit publish. I could even hit bulk duplicate, and then I could do, say, every 4 weeks for the next quarter, I want to schedule this event. And then it'll schedule 5, 6 events or whatever the time frame is at once. So then if I'm going back, and I jumped too far back, go back to the event type here. You can see, here are all the events that are scheduled under this event type. And if we dive into an event itself, you can see in this case, this event is a multi-time slot event. So, you can have one time slot, you can have a couple different time slots, but the purpose is when I, enroll into this event, I'll get added to these 2 time slots, or these 2 time slots will get added to my calendar. I can see who else is going. And then as a program manager, I can manage my attendance here. And, I can see all the people that are enrolled, their status, are they checked in, enrolled, dropped. I can manage the different online or online waitlist queues here. I can, drop people. I can demote them to the waitlist. I can move them up and down. I can undo check-ins. I can do all sorts of, either individual actions, or I can do bulk actions as well. Through this here as well. So you really do have complete control over your rosters on your content types. All right, so those are events for our on-demand content. We're gonna run through a couple different ones here. We're gonna start with articles. So articles, may sound like, oh, okay, it's just a whole bunch of text, but articles are really containers that you can have text in them, but you can also have things like Confluence pages, right? So you can bubble up. Like Confluence can be such a rabbit hole. And there may be multiple pages that kind of cover the same thing, and so especially a new hire may be like, I don't know which is the most relevant page, and so you as a program manager can bubble up the Confluence pages that are most relevant for whatever topic, whether it be onboarding, manager training, etc. The nice thing about our Confluence integration is that it is powered by Confluence. We built this with a Atlassian partner team. So it is it's a top line integration with them, and you can engage with the Confluence page, like make comments and things like that, just as if you were in Confluence, because it essentially is just bubbling up a direct Confluence page. So it's no different than if you were on a Confluence site. The exception being is things like Confluence or Cloud Docs, where you have no idea if people actually went to the page or engaged with it. These things can now be, you can see engagement by them being marked as complete in tracks. It will auto mark it as complete when they engage with it. But even if someone just discovers it as a one-off, things can be marked as complete. So you as the program manager know what sort of engagement's happening with your content, even if it's like a Confluence page or like a Cloud Doc, here. So here I have a Google slide that we can run through. And then you can surround, whether it's an embedded Confluence page or a Cloud Doc, with text or with a video or with any sort of other content. So articles can actually be pretty powerful little pieces, and aren't just just places to just dump a whole bunch of text. Though you can do that too. All right, for videos. Videos is so a nice big video player. You can watch the video in PlusPlus. You can, in some of the formats, you can set thresholds that will auto mark them as complete. Like you got to watch 80% of the video to mark it as complete. So there's lots of functionality there. Probably the main thing that you may have questions on is, well, what video formats do you support? Pretty much all of them. You can see a big list of them here, and with pretty clear instructions on how to to share your video content. If you don't see something listed here, or you say, hey, Michael, we have a homegrown library, then in the system settings, your system admin can actually just take whatever the root URL is and put it in there, and then you can share things that aren't listed there. The next one is courses. So this is our e-learning. This is the old compliance stuff that is usually not terribly fun, but it is a lot of times required. So we definitely support that. The thing to really cover here is the formats that we support. SCORM 1.2, 2004, AICC, XAPI, CMI5, PDFs are all supported. The 2004 is one that we definitely recommend utilize when possible, because this is going to give us the most data to work with. As you'll see when I show reporting, and we kind of have a note here. It's the only fourth edition. Oh, and CMI5 used the progress extension. So this is going to allow us, when you're actually looking at your assignments, to post back like progress through the SCORM that the learners are doing through the SCORM packet. So I can see that Julie here is 48% of the way through, her SCORM packet. Again, this is demo data here, but you can see the last interacted, the total time they're spending in it. So this isn't the estimated duration. This is actuals. How many attempts did it take them if you allow them to take it more than once? Their status, did they pass or fail? What the score was? All of that is recorded here, as well as expiration. So this is probably where expiring assignments is going to be the most commonplace. So if you have, say, an e-learning that someone has to take annually, you can assign them to it, have their assignment expire in 365 days, and then you could have, say, an automated rule that would automatically reassign them, when their assignment expires, or you could manually reassign them if you wanted to do it that way. But then when you pull reporting, you could be like, Sergio has been assigned to this, 10 times and completed it all 10 times, or didn't complete it 4 times ago. So we'll keep a complete history of all the assignments and the status and result and scores of those. And again, this information, e-learning, you can get access through you get through the data through a CSV or API. We also have XAPI. So if you have some sort of like LRS that you want to have this data stream to, we have an XAPI that you can stream this information to. So that is our courses. Now the next thing here is in a similar. So where courses are going to be authored either by a third party that you're contracting with, or if you're authoring them yourself, you're usually doing it through, say, like Articulate Rise or some sort of other professional authoring system that is expensive, requires licenses, usually requires some sort of learning curve, and so it somewhat limits who can build e-learning. Guides, as it's branded here, but you may know them as code labs, is something that Google actually created, which is a framework to make it easy for anybody in a company to create technical e-learning. It doesn't necessarily have to be technical, but it usually lives more in the technical space just because of the nature of engineering usually. But really, it is if engineers will typically do this in like a Markdown, but we also support building out these in a Google Doc, and then you can upload them into PlusPlus and render it into a guide. So I'll show you what it looks like. So you can see I'm 50% of the way through this. But if I launch this, it essentially is launching me through this kind of step through guide of, in this case, a web app, building my first progressive web app. And these can be dynamic in that I can create buttons. I've seen people have videos in here, images, clickable links. All of that is code blocks here that I can look at. So this is a great tool to utilize, especially if you have sort of a longer sort of walkthrough experience that you're going to want your learners to go through. I mean, I've seen these be 40 plus steps long. They'll take, they potentially take days to go through. So these can be really extensive trainings. And the nice thing is that the versioning can be done in app. So especially when you have these longer ones where maybe it's, the learner's taking a couple of days to go through it. If the program manager makes an update to the doc, they'll be prompted in app to switch to the latest release, right? So you can, as a program manager, you can always have confidence that your learners are using the most current version of the doc, even if they're mid-flight running through it. And just like e-learning under managed assignments, you can kind of see people's progress, through your code lab and the status and their engagement as well. So the next thing here is going to be links. So links is going to allow you to bring in third-party content into PlusPlus and include them in your tracks or have them as standalone. So links is, in this case, I have a measuring OKR implementation, goal setting video tutorial here that lives in LinkedIn Learning. And so this is a case of, I open it, it will drive me to LinkedIn Learning. I'll watch the video. And then when I come back, it will have auto marked it as complete. So, I don't have to, as the program manager, you're going to know who's engaging with this sort of third-party content. If it's in a track, it's marking it as complete, so people will get credit for it as they're moving through the track, and you'll be able to measure the effectiveness of it. And then probably the last thing to cover here is assessments. So this is the other sort of LMSE piece of PlusPlus, in that you can build in PlusPlus quizzes for based off certain content. So in this case, I have a Python assessment, and you can have it be multiple choice. Let's see. So here's a whole bunch of multiple choice. There also is like fill in the blank, which I'm not seeing in here. But let's see if I can find another one. Yeah, so here is one where I it was a fill in the blank, not sure. But then, so you can have, right or wrong explanations based off of if you got it wrong, here's the explanation. If you got it right, here's an explanation. But, so this is platform, in platform quizzing that you can do. I've seen use cases where, someone has had, say, we'll go back to a track, and they'll say, for, if, let's just grab leadership development, and they'll have an upfront like assessment, and it's basically like, if you pass this assessment, feel free to take this, but if you fail it, we recommend you take this training first, right? So it's you're kind of having people kind of assess, are they ready to take this track, and so that's an interesting use case. Or you could have it at the end of your onboarding track, saying like, hey, how effective was this? Can you answer all of this after taking onboarding? And so that also could be a good way of measuring the effectiveness of your track as well. All right, so got to wrap up here. So connections is the last piece that I'll discuss here. Connections is going to be, again, where you're kind of locating the experts in the company. That can be done through office hours. That could be done through mentorship programs or other sort of ERG programs, where you can go in, find mentors, book sessions with them, and it kind of locate expertise that way. You could also do searches. Say, let's say I want to find people who are experts in Python in the company, and okay, here's Charlie, and Charlie has mentorship sessions. Charlie's teaching these events that I may want to check out. Here's all the content around Python that Charlie has created. So this really starts to allow you to start to zeroing in on the different experts within PlusPlus and who they are. And then, one last sort of thing to show here. You have your managers will have all their direct reports listed here, and managers can pull reporting. This is where managers would see reporting and progress reporting of their directs on content. They can even go in and they could even assign people content, or they could assign them mentors. So lots of, we really want to empower managers to take a bigger part of learning. There's also a back office component to PlusPlus where system admins and system organizers can come in and pull any sort of report that they want in the platform. They can save those reports for later use. Or we're even working on a scheduling thing where you can have reports be sent to people. So that's coming soon. You can create custom filters. So here's one that I'm going to do for engineering and hire date. And so what I'm doing here is I'm creating a window for new hires for my engineering department, right? So, And we're getting all this information from Workday. So this is going to be, and we check with Workday at least once a day. You could have it prompted more than once a day. So this is, current information. I've got 18 new hires for my engineering department, and then I can save this, and then I could create an automated rule that would automatically assign those new hires to that engineering onboarding track that we reviewed earlier, right? So now you're taking kind of the work of having to be like, okay, who are the new hires that are coming in? What do they need to get assigned to? You can automate those workflows through PlusPlus, because we're going to know from Workday, and then all you need to do is build the content, make sure it's schedule it, and then we'll do all the assignments automatically for you. All right, so that wraps up the demo piece, and we're just about done here. Hopefully, from this demo, seen some of our core values at play. We really do believe in learning from each other. That's where we think people learn best. So bringing the experts forward and kind of celebrating them and giving them a place to share their knowledge. Everyone can be an expert, and so as much as you are comfortable with it, it's a platform that you can democratize and enable the experts to stand up and elevate the company. But in order to do that, it's got to be easy, right? The biggest competitor out there is time. And so the biggest competitor for you're putting all this hard work together, building these programs, and now you got to compete with the time of the people actually doing their job, right? So we're building a platform that makes it easy, as much as possible for people to access the content, get to it, do it, and then get back to their job. And automation is really a big part of that, whether it's automatically scheduling or automatically enrolling people or calendar invite integrations, that sort of information. We automate as much as we can to add value so you can just focus on building the programs that you want. All right, so that about wraps it up. Thanks everyone for staying with me and learning a little bit more about PlusPlus. We'll be in touch with an email with with contact information, this recording, and hope to be talking to some of you soon.